Right now, we're living in a golden age of gaming, with more amazing games out there than anyone has time to play, in every conceivable genre, from first-person shooter, to puzzle games, to lawyer simulators.
Hold it! Sorry, but we're not backing down.
But it's easy to look back on the past and think things used to be better before Day 1 DLC, season passes, and microtransactions. While that's true in some cases, there were lots of other little ways in which gaming in the past used to be the worst. Here are 7 of our least favourite. It's pretty unfathomable now, but in the past, a lot of the time when you used up your last life, that was it. Game over. Not game over, continue from last autosave game over, but actual game over, start the whole game again game over. Some games let you earn continues and started to introduce password systems to let you jump back to certain levels, but there was a legitimate chance that you could buy a game and never be able to finish it, something you only really get nowadays if you're into Dark Souls. Thank God for the Konami code, I guess. This also meant that if you'd got particularly far in a game but needed to go and do something else, you had to leave your console on, because if you turned it off, all your progress would be lost. I once left my Sega Mega Drive on for 3 days when I was trying to complete ToeJam and Earl, a game with randomly generated levels in which the characters move about as quickly as a tranquilized sloth. And then someone turned it off when I was out. And no, I'm not over it, thanks. Fighting game fans these days are spoiled rotten with their diverse casts of combatants, each with their own unique looks and skills, because games with multiple characters back in the day would most likely include at least 2 that were the exact same character just with different heads. Ryu and Ken are the most obvious example of this, along with the rest of their karate bros, Dan, Sean and Akuma. And Yun and Yang, Julie, Junie and Kami, and Joe Higashi and Hua Jai from the original Fatal Fury. Sometimes they didn't even go so far as to swap the heads of the characters, just changing their colours instead, as seen in most of the enemies in side-scrolling beat-em-ups like Final Fight and Streets of Rage. And Mortal Kombat came pretty close to running out of colours during the height of their ninja phase. Thankfully, this isn't so much of a thing anymore. Guaranteed if they made Overwatch in the 90s, at least 3 of the characters would be different coloured head swaps of Soldier 76. Game endings are your reward for all the hard work you put in finishing a game, helping tie up the story, teasing possible sequels, and generally wrapping up any loose ends there might be with a cool mini-movie that only those with the dedication to finishing the game get to see. That's what they're like these days. A lot of the time in the past, you were lucky if you got more than a single paragraph of text congratulating you and asking you if you wanted to play again. For example, you've just defeated the dreaded Spider Demon in the original Doom. Can probably look forward to something pretty cool after a gaming feed like that, right? Red text on a grey background. The font is nice, I guess. And after 7 stages of kicking dragon ninjas unconscious, I think I've earned a little bit more than 15 words of congratulation from Ronald Reagan, bad dudes. Almost a third of them are half. Come on, guys, can't we have something a little longer?
That was the body of a clone.
Okay, I take it back. I don't know what it was in the 80s and 90s, but for some reason everyone was obsessed with water levels despite them being the second worst kind of level you can put in a video game, right behind sewer. Water levels are usually characterised by a panicky search for oxygen, but if you're particularly unlucky, it will also include a mechanic where you can raise and lower water levels to solve puzzles, or at least you would solve puzzles if this wasn't the point at which you abandoned the game entirely. You're also generally a lot slower and harder to control. You'd think turtles would be better underwater. Even if they give you a submarine so you can breathe, it's one that handles horribly and breaks at even the slightest provocation. I think I preferred the panicky search for oxygen. A hangover from the arcades, where games wanted to move players through as quickly as possible, a lot of early games featured time limits for no discernible reason. Stop enjoying yourself and finish this level as quickly as possible, they seem to say, which is an odd message to send to your players, especially if you're going to speed the music up and make the last third of the level really stressful. A particularly aggravating version of the time limit is these scrolling levels that kill you if you don't move fast enough, which for some reason were everywhere for a while. What's the in-universe explanation for that? I mean, unless the walls are actually moving, in which case, fair play. While two-player simultaneous multiplayer has been a thing for a while, for the longest time a lot of games would advertise themselves as having multiplayer, when what they really meant was that they let you and a friend take it in turns playing. Many was the time I got home only to discover that the multiplayer promised by the box was the sort where, rather than going head-to-head in a test of pure skill, grit and determination, my friend and I would instead be taking it in turns to play the same game at sort of the same time. I can already do that with single-player games, video game. I guess that makes books multiplayer if I lend them to a friend after I'm done? Good to know. These days, when you buy a movie tie-in video game, you can reasonably expect a playable version of the movie, even if they can't get the rights to Tom Hardy's expensive face.
We got him. The man they call Max.
Back in the early days of video gaming, however, if you bought a movie tie-in game, you had no idea what you'd be getting. For example, I must have missed the bit in Cliffhanger where Sylvester Stallone punched 100 guys in a row to death. Or the bit in E.T. where he fell into a series of holes and had to sort of stretch his neck to get out of them. Or the famous Total Recall scene where Arnie got into a fistfight with some small people in pink jumpsuits. Oh well, at least it had Total Recall's famous catchphrase, "Your game has been terminated." Probably don't need to check if that was in the movie, right guys? Those were 7 little ways in which video games used to be worse than they are today. Got any suggestions of your own that we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and like and subscribe for more videos like this from Outside Xbox. Thanks for watching!